Meditate on his blessings. But not only must you meditate on his blessings, y'all, you got to memorize his promises. Yeah, because y'all, it's some stuff you ought to just know. You've been walking with the Lord long enough now. You ought to just know he's able. You got to grow up a little bit and just know some stuff. You got to know that God wouldn't have told you to go in the storm if he wasn't going to provide for you while you're in the storm. At this point in your life, it's some stuff you ought to just know. Look at your neighbor and say, you got to know some stuff. You got to know. You got to know some stuff. Stop whining, stop crying, and just know that God is able. Just know he'll work it out for you. Just know he'll turn it around for you. He'll do it. He'll do it. He'll do it. You gotta memorize some promises of the Lord that he said he'll never leave you nor forsake you. Said that he will provide for your needs, that he'll forgive you when you're in sin. You ought to tell your neighbor, you ought to know by now. You ought to know by now. That's how you manage your fear. You gotta meditate on his blessings, and you gotta memorize his. You gotta memorize his promise. Tell your neighbor, say, you look at a little word and say, but I know he's able. Go ahead and encourage your neighbor. Say, I know. I ain't talking about what nobody told me. I know for myself that he's able. He's able. So if you're gonna get the blessing in this thing, you gotta manage your fear. But not only must you manage your fear, y'all. I see it in the text. Not only must you manage your fear, you got to move out in faith. See, it's important that you deal with the fear, because fear will always starve out your faith. And see, fear and faith can't stand in the same place. One is going to win over the other. So you got to get that fear under control. And the way you do that is you got to exalt your faith. You got to believe God above your circumstances. You got to trust God above what you're going through. You got to move out on faith. Watch what happens in the text. Watch what happens in the text. Y'all all right? Let me show you what happened in the text. The text is that Jesus is walking toward the disciples. He's coming their way, and they scared. Oh my Lord! Oh God! Oh Lord, have mercy! They start screaming. It's a ghost. Look at verse 28. Verse 28 says, verse 27. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Now stop all that." He said, "Chill out. It is I. Don't be scared." Look at verse 28. Peter said, "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." In verse 29, Jesus says one word: come. I love it. Wait. I mean, y'all, they screaming, they oh, it's a ghost. Oh, it's a ghost. Oh, Lord, pull a Fred Sanford though. I'm going home. Okay. And Jesus said, "Stop all that. Stop tripping. Chill out. Stop all of that." And look. Peter said, "Hold up. If it's you, tell me to do what you doing. If it's you, tell me." See what started happening in Peter's mind. Peter started going back. Now the Jesus I know just fed 5,000. And if he can feed 5,000, the Jesus I know can cause me to walk on the water. He said, "If it's you, tell me to come." And Jesus said one word. He said, didn't take a whole lot. Jesus said one word: come. Let me show you the blessing in this. Let me show you the blessing. See, you crying over your struggle. But it's in your struggle that God's going to reveal opportunities for you to do what you've never been able to do before. It's in your hardship. It's in your downtime that God is going to burst open potential for you to be better than you've ever been before. Oh, it's in that meantime, that time between jobs, that God's going to open a door and show you something that you would have never seen tied to that job. And Peter says, I see miracle forming up in this. Peter said, I see a blessing coming my way. Peter said, I see turnaround happening for me. Bid me come. And the Lord says, come. Move your neighbor a little bit. Say, you got to move out on faith. Now, if you're going to move out on faith, the first thing you got to do is that you got to make sure it's God. Yeah, you got to make sure. Because some of that stuff y'all saying God ain't God. No, that's gas. That ain't God. That's that pizza you ate last night. Oh, I feel something moving. Watch Peter. Watch Peter. I love it. Because he was only willing to risk if he knew it was God. And so he had to investigate this thing. He had to ask questions. Lord, is this you? And my friends, before you step out, you better make sure that it's God leading you to step out. Because, oh God, when you step out on his word, when you step out, then he's responsible for you. But if you step out of his word, then you're responsible for yourself. Tap your neighbor, say, he preaching better than you shouting. Yeah. He said, now, is this you? Is this you, God? Is this you telling me to change careers? Is this you, God? Is this you telling me to believe you for a healing and don't believe the report of the doctors, but is this you? And look what he says. He says, calm. You got to make sure it's God. But not only must you make sure it's God, y'all, you got to maneuver toward the Lord. You got to maneuver toward the Lord. I want you to see it. He's on this boat. He's in the storm. They are afraid. And Jesus tells them, chill out. Don't get worried. Don't fret. It's me. He says, if it's you, tell me. Can't y'all see him on the edge of the boat? I mean, he's ready to move. But he's not going to take a step until he hears the word from the Lord. And the text says that he stepped out of the boat. And Peter began to do what nobody else have ever been. Boy, you better stop cursing your storm. And you start seeing what God can do in your life in the middle of this thing. God got you set up. God's trying to bless you beyond your imagination. Peter, watch it though. You got to be careful because many of us will get out of the boat. We have enough faith to get out of the boat, but we start walking in the wrong direction. The text says that when Peter got on the boat, he started walking toward Jesus. What direction are you walking in today, my friends? Where you headed, my friends? Because, my friend, it's only when you go toward him that he's responsible for you. Let me move. Y'all, I'm telling you, there's a blessing in this thing. You gotta manage your fear. You gotta move out on faith. And then here's the next one, y'all. You gotta maintain your focus.